Hey guys, a very short sequence for you to include in your cycling. Flexibility, opening the front of the body, stretching out the legs, working the back of the body. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so for this bit of movement, I do have a yoga strap, but you can use anything at all. It's to stretch the legs at the end. A scarf, a blanket, a tie, whatever you've got, even a normal belt is fine. But to begin with, we're going to come onto hands and knees. And we're going to work the back of the body as much as possible to counteract all that curving over the handlebars that we do when we cycle. Okay, hands and knees, we're going to stretch out the back of the legs first. So tuck the toes under, press the heel back and just feel the calves opening and the toes opening. So, of course, we're using our legs a lot when we cycle, but we are not working our feet. We're not working any stabilizing muscles in our feet. And I find my calves get very, very tight from cycling. So just opening up the back of the legs here. Okay, switching sides. And just allowing those tired legs to open up a little bit. Okay, come back onto your hands and your knees, and we're going to do a little bit of balance stability work here. So we're going to keep the body nice and still, and we're going to keep the body nice and still once we've found our neutral position. So we're going to curve the spine in one direction, curve the spine in the other direction. Don't worry too much about like doing a cat and cow. This is just more about finding where your pelvis is in space. Find that nice level place where you can put a cup of tea on the back of the pelvis, not the back here. And then keep that nice and still. You're going to pull your tummy up a little bit in, away from the floor, just to keep you nice and still. We're not bracing there, we're just lifting a little bit up. And you're going to press into your hands so you're not sinking down into the floor. We're going to reach the right leg back behind us and the left arm forwards, and if it feels like we can keep nice and stable, we're going to hover the right leg off as well. We're going to bring them back underneath us and we're going to switch sides. So I'm going to start off with the leg dragging along the floor and then hovering off. If I feel that this is okay, I'm pretty balanced today, or I can keep the body nice and still, we can reach straight off and down. So we're supporting our body weight through our arms as well as our legs here. We're working on balance, on focus, reaching the arm and leg away from one another. Hovering and lengthening, and then lowering down. Okay. And last time. Lovely, okay. So make sure again that you haven't sunk into your hands. We're going to bend that right leg. I'm going to flex through the heel and I'm going to kick the heel up towards the sky. So we're just firing up the back of the legs a little bit here. See if you can keep the hips pretty level. Just the back of the leg working. Make sure you don't sink in the upper body. And then place that leg down. Okay, and the second side. So the left foot lifts up and you press it up towards the ceiling. Okay, last few. And bring that knee back down. Okay, we're going to come into a little bit of a lunge. So stepping your right leg forwards, keeping your left knee down. Now I know a lot of people find being on the back knee pretty tender, so make sure you use enough padding. I'm just doing a simple thing of bending, rolling my mat up a little bit more here, but you could use a blanket. The main thing is that you're trying to not be right on top of the kneecap, but rather be in front of the kneecap, so as far up onto the front of the thigh as you can. And then just allow the weight to sink down into the hips. So stretching out the front of the thighs here. And if you can't reach the floor, you can bring the floor to you. You could use a sofa, a chair, you could use books or blocks underneath the hands. So it's not about reaching the floor, it's just allowing your body to open up a little bit. Okay, we're going to switch sides. So the left foot comes forwards, the right knee is going to stay back. I'm going to just pad out my knee. And I'm just going to allow the weight to sink down into the hips. Okay. So let's come down now onto our backs. So working the back side of the body. Okay. So just to begin with, we're going to do some spine curls. These are just really good exercises to do for so many reasons. So you're going to press down into your feet, and then the feet and knees are hip distance apart, and roll your spine up towards the sky. Now normally in Pilates I'd say, okay, only come up so that your hips are the highest point, but because we want to open up the front of the body, you might press a little bit higher, more akin to a yoga practice, and lift the hips, allow the ribs to open, and then allow the upper body to melt the middle body, the lower back, and the pelvis to return to the floor. The main thing is that you're driving your feet down, you're utilising the back of the legs, and you're allowing the front of the body to open. So I'm not coming onto my neck, it's still very free, I'm just on the shoulders here, and then come back down. So rolling on up, pressing into the feet. Allowing the breath to move into the ribs, and then softening and lowering down. I'll do that one more time, pressing down to the feet, lifting up, and coming all the way back down. Okay, so a little bit of work now, freeing up the hips, but keeping the body nice and still. So this is going to give you power, yeah, stability in the body, frees up movement in the legs. Keep your hands onto your hips, allow the back of the pelvis to feel very, very soft and open and heavy into the ground. I'm going to draw my left leg up into a knee fold, so the knee is over the hip. Keep the right leg nice and still, and I'm going to allow the left leg to open out towards the left. I'm going to not let my hips wobble, my abdominals will switch on automatically, and then my leg will come back to centre. So allowing the knee to open, and pulling that knee back in. And last time. Placing the foot down, second side. So the right leg is going to come up, knee above hip, and the whole of the right leg opens out to the side. So there's a softness to the hip, we're not clenching into that hip. But equally I'm keeping nice and still in the pelvis. So I'm allowing the leg to move independently of the rest of the body. Pulling that leg back in, opening out. Two more times. You'll notice I'm not going very far, I'm more interested in keeping nice and still in the body. And then place the feet down. Give your knees a little hug and let your spine curl. A little bit of movement from side to side if that feels good. And I'm going to stretch out these legs. So I've got my belt or strap or whatever you've got. I'm going to place the strap around the ball of my right foot, and I'm either going to keep my left leg bent or I'm going to lengthen my left leg along the floor. So it doesn't matter if your right leg is bent. It doesn't matter at all. It's about lengthening through the heel, but lengthening and straight are not necessarily the same thing. So don't worry about how straight the leg gets, just feel length through the back of the leg. And there's no need to push it until it's shaking, there's no need for this to be painful. It's not going to help you get more open. You need the body to relax, to release. And like most things, it's about practice. So you keep doing the flexibility and the mobility work, and your body will slowly open. Stretching the inner thighs now. So I'm going to hold the strap with one hand, with the same hand. I'm going to place my left hand onto my left hip and allow the right leg to open out towards the side. I'm going to use my elbow to support the weight. And I'm only going to go as far as I can, keep the pelvis nice and level. So it might be a tiny amount, it doesn't matter. That still will engage a stretch. So it doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters what it feels like. That you're moving the part of the body that you want to move, and you're keeping the part of the body still that you want to keep still. Bringing that leg back up towards the sky, and then we'll take a little bit of a rotation. So take the strap into the opposite hand and take the leg across the body. The leg does not have to come all the way to the floor. It's just about feeling a bit of openness through the outside of the leg. And this is the part that people blame for a lot of stuff, the IT band. It's fascia, so it's not just it's not a muscle, it's not a one thing. The fascia is not just a unique piece of the body, it's intrinsic throughout us. We're just stretching the outside. So that's why I'm not being specific about muscles. We're not stretching one muscle, working another. We're moving the body, and the parts that will work or will stretch will stretch. Bringing the leg back up towards the sky, and we'll switch sides. So taking that foot up, holding in both hands and allowing the leg to open, and don't worry about what it looks like. And it's very hard, I think, to give ourselves time to be slower and still, especially if we enjoy activities like cycling that require some effort. So being slower, being still isn't better or worse than moving. You're going to take the strap into the same hand, right hand onto the hip, and allow the leg to open. I'm using my elbow to support the weight. I'm not worrying about lifting or opening the leg all the way down and all the way up towards my ear. That's just if you're a ballet dancer. And the leg might open more, might not. Just giving it an opportunity. Okay. And then take the leg across the body. I'm going to run out of space here. Oh no, just good enough space. So if you do run out of space, just move yourself a little bit. Allow the outside of the left leg to feel some length. We're also in a rotation of the body. It's not something that we do when we cycle. We're just front and back when we cycle, and it's basically just the legs moving. So it's an opportunity to open the body up in different ways. back up towards the sky and release the foot. All right, I'd be remiss if I didn't get us to do a little bit of back work. I'm a big fan of adding in some lat work here, so it's going to be very simple. We're going to come to lie onto your tummy, bring your hands roughly underneath your shoulders. We're going to bring the legs and join them together and lengthen them away from us. Hover the body, hover the legs, and if you can, lift the arms. If you can reach forwards, and then pull on your imaginary bar and bend the elbows. So we're reaching forwards and then pulling on the imaginary bar. Elbows nice and wide. Keep looking slightly forwards of your mat. Keep the body hovering, or not the body, that'd be levitating. Keep your upper body and your legs lengthened off. And last one. Okay. Coming to a little child's pose, just to stretch the back of the body. And then some foot stretching, which is not everyone's favourite. Okay, so tuck the toes, and if you can, sit onto your heels. So I'm just stretching my little toe out, which gets a little bit caught up underneath. Okay, so this for a lot of people is agony, but this is stretching the foot. Yeah? And it does require some knee mobility, some ankle mobility and the toes. But if you can do this a little bit every day, it's good for your feet. If it's too much, you're just simply going to come off. But we're all going to move off the heels now. And we're going to lift the knees. And we're going to stretch the feet in a little bit of a different way. So it's stretching the back of the calves, the back of the heels, the ankles. And we're just coming forwards and backwards gently. And we'll lower the knees, untuck the toes, have a little sit down, and give yourself a little pat on the back for making some time for flexibility work. So, well done.